How you doing?
I'm pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm in my Airbnb in New York as I look for places to live for the next 2 months. Matt Young, why don't you describe who you are, what you do, what your life is like?
Guess the best way to describe it, I'm a music artist, content creator, storyteller. I've been making music for the past 13 years, so I've been a decade plus in it. And I'd say in the last year or so, I kind of started to, branch out into video content, storytelling, kind of broadening the horizon beyond just making music and, making it about myself. So I would say music artist, all around content creator, storyteller, multifaceted.
What do you mean about making it beyond yourself?
Well, for the past like 13 years, it's just me writing about my life experiences and, my music's very personal. So the last decade plus has been all about me with every release, with everything that I do. So this new content that I've been making, I've had more of a passion to tell other people's stories, make pieces of content that's not myself as the subject. And I've been having fun with that kind of approach. Just I feel like there's a greater purpose to my creative endeavors, and it's not always about me. And I feel like branching out as a music artist into other forms of content, I can kind of make things that I'm passionate about that wouldn't necessarily fall into my music and stuff that's just, close to me.
Yeah. Um, well, that's pretty cool. Can you kind of give some examples? I know you've been doing some reels where you're kind of explaining what it is to be an artist, and those kind of really got my attention lately, and I think they've been resonating with other people. It's cool to see kind of you're almost like giving, I guess, more value in like the almost self-help sense to artists than you're just creating and expecting people to to watch your stuff, which your music is really really good. But
I
I think
appreciate that.
I think it's that branching out. So can you kind of explain kind of the general philosophy when you start making content that's around sharing people with stuff with people in a different way?
Pretty much it comes down to being a DIY independent artist is tough. It's not an easy road. There's highs and lows around every single corner. And after being in it for 13 years and still running, I've had my fair share of highs and lows and wins and losses. So the fact now that I can take some of those experiences and some of those lessons I've learned and pay them forward to younger artists and anyone else taking that road of a DIY independent artist, I just want to pay any knowledge, any gems, any free game that I can forward. Because when you don't have a team, when you don't have a label, an investor, it gets tough. It's a really shark in the water type of game. So I kind of just found passion in this in making this kind of content just for the fact that I've always felt like the underdog. So I want to also have the underdogs back. And there's many of underdogs out there. And I find this kind of content can kind of speak directly to those types of artists and shed a little bit of light on some of the do's and don'ts. And even when it's not more of just advice type of content, it's just encouraging words to keep going on your journey. So just anything I can do to uplift an independent artist and someone who feels like they're going against the grain, I want to just give a little bit of that help in any way that I can.
Yeah. And I was going to ask this later in the interview, and it might be personal depending on how you think about it or how you take it. But I what exactly to you is an underdog, and why do you consider yourself an underdog?
I would say an underdog is someone who is, creating something out of nothing with no outside help from a machine or from a higher up. You know what I mean? The way the industry works today, it's a lot of almost factory processes with how artists get pumped out on these major labels and how so many of these artists that seem like they're moving around independent aren't really moving around independent, and there's a suit or an investor behind so many of these self-proclaimed independent artists. So to truly be an underdog is to truly feel like an underdog is because I have, for the entire time I've been an artist, it's been making music video sets on my own with my cousin and my close friends. It's throwing different marketing strategies at the wall and seeing what works and doesn't work. And when you have a machine behind you, you have a lot of people doing these things for you. So I guess I feel like an underdog because I have to wear pretty much every single hat when it comes to the life of an artist. And that's another reason I like making that kind of content, because I know there's so many people who are wearing 5, 10 different hats just to try to make it work. And those are the people I'm always going to speak for.
Yeah. What do you think? I guess what do you think like niche has to do for it? What does niche have to do for it? When I say that word, what kind of comes to mind in general?
And sorry, can you like, what do you mean exactly? Just
I
to
guess I guess so. I think in general I'm going a different direction with this interview for a multitude of reasons because I want to I kind of want to for people. Yeah, I've been doing drumming about the same amount of time as you in the sphere. And I mean, I branched out into podcasting and I'm doing this other stuff. And I think when we talk about like Sean Mundy, for example, it's like his stuff is so weird and different and like such a fucking small niche. And people seem to resonate with it for whatever reason. Like they're into that sort of dark stuff. That stuff just almost like propels and that's kind of what I mean for it. But yeah, now it's just I mean everything is I've got shows through doing the podcast. I've got different things, even though it is like relatively small. And as you, I just know the placement. But I think anything spark anything to your mind when I kind of said any of that. What do you think your end goal is for the way that you're kind of like branching out with this? What as an underdog, as somebody who's trying to create something, what is kind of the goal that you're looking at and going forward with?
So I'd say in terms of an end goal, I don't think there's ever an end goal. But where I would like to see things go in the next maybe couple of years, I'm always going to be a musician first. So I'm always going to put out records and, keep that up, because that's a lifeline to me. That's who I am. That's the first type of creative endeavor I've ever explored and fell in love with. So I'll always be a musician first. But in regards to the branching out that I've been doing, podcasting is something that I definitely want to get into, but not just specifically to the type of content. I guess where I why I want to branch out and where I want to go is I want to just tell other people's stories. I want to build a platform that can highlight other people's work, other people's stories, through podcasting, through maybe cover pieces, and kind of dive into a bit of a journalism kind of world, but from the perspective of being someone who's also, in the game as well.
Mhm.
Being an artist who can also dive into talking to other artists and other creatives and just interesting people that I think that other people should know about. So I want to branch out into shedding the light on others and just shedding the light on people that I find interesting, and bring it to as big of an audience as I possibly can.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I think also something kind of when you've been starting to mention this, something that kind of comes to my mind, and you know Jack White, White Stripes, Jack White.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. He says he's never written a song about himself, which I almost like gotta call bullshit a little bit.
Yeah, damn.
But I think it's interesting. It's even just an interesting thought process because even if you write, about somebody else in your music, yourself and your opinions and your angle for it is going to kind of shine, through. Like there's no way around that, and that might be kind of his angle because it's almost easier to like talk shit on somebody or imagine something like, oh, if you're talking like somebody's saying some terrible shit in your song, well, it's not me, it's this character I made up.
Yeah.
So that kind of comes to mind when you say that. What's it like living in Montreal right now? What's the music scene like? What's you're talking about your friends and your support group and the kind of people you make movie sets with and like your videos look incredible. Like what sort of like creative endeavors and what sort of people are around you that inspire you?
So in regards to the Montreal music scene, it is we are I feel like Montreal is very close to having its kind of Toronto breakthrough moment. There are so many different artists from hip hop to R&B to pop music that are I feel like they're right on the cusp in Montreal. We have such a great music scene, art scene in general. Just some names to throw out there: Nate Husser, Zach Zoya, Cali Technus. Those are artists who are still on the rise, but they're starting to make waves in the States and Europe, and they're really starting to do it and have their breakthrough moments. And I feel like Montreal is right on the cusp of that spotlight mainstream moment that Toronto had when the Drakes and the Weekends and the Party Next Doors and the Tory Lane started to break through and really cross over.
Okay, I was gonna be like, what the hell is a Toronto moment? Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay, cool.
it just takes a while here because the whole language barrier, and there's a lot of politics with French and English and all that. But all that aside, which is stuff that I always stay clear of, we are not short on talent. We have so many artists, and in regards to the community aspect of it, there's definitely cliques and stuff like that. Like, I think every city's going to have cliques and people that kind of work amongst themselves and in certain groups. But I think this city is booming with talent. I think it's flourishing beautifully. And I would say 2023, this year is going to be like a breakout year for a lot of artists. Just those names I mentioned alone: Cali Technus, Zach Zoya, and Nate Husser. I think they're on their way to to a mainstream moment. But it's a great city. It's a lot of independent artists. It's a lot of hustling and a lot of shows in the city. But it's it does have like a DIY kind of essence to it as well. So it's a great city, and the art scene is booming here. I think it just needs its kind of push over moment to finally get the recognition that it deserves, to be honest.
Because it's a very supportive place for artists in general. I've heard it's like, I don't know if this is correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like the rent is a little bit more stabilized than maybe other parts of the country. It's a little,
Rent is starting to get a little crazy. It's starting to not be as beautiful as it once was. But you think like 2010 to maybe 2015, 2016, like there's a lot of artists that came here to set up shop just for the fact that cheap living, a lot of gigs to play. Like Mac DeMarco was somebody who made the move to Montreal, and he kind of gave it up to the cheap living and had a lot of gigs and built a lot here. So in terms of being the starving artist, you can definitely get by in Montreal and not have to give up a kidney or anything like that to get by.
I've had to do that in a few cities now here in the States. So
Yeah, New York's got to be crazy. New York is like that's an expensive place to get it moving.
yeah, I mean, dude, so I just lived in Santa Cruz, which is in the Bay Area of California, near San Francisco and all that stuff. And it's because of the tech money that's coming in there. It's like it's a little small beach town. It is crazy expensive. I mean, tech money is the biggest money kind of going through
Yeah,
the world right now. So people were like, "Oh my God, New York's so expensive." Like, dude, it's fucking cheaper in New York City than a town of 60,000 people in California. And people are like, what are you talking about? It's like, I shit you not. I don't know
that's
how, but that
brutal,
is the case. So I'm still figuring out where
brutal.
to live, but we'll get in there.
Yeah, I guess in perspective and everything, Montreal, the prices aren't bad compared to some places. So I'm definitely grateful.
Yeah, you guys got to kick out Mac DeMarco. If he keeps on getting bigger, he's just going to make that place more and more expensive.
Yeah, I think he's gone now. I think he's either back in his hometown, which is like I think it's Vancouver or somewhere over West Coast, but he's gone now. He might be an LA guy now. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's hilarious. Um, why don't you? I have a bunch of different questions for you. I don't know quite where to start. So let's just go from what's kind of happened recently. You landed a placement with Symbiosis in a French film. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
that was so pretty much I do these like freelance songwriting like gigs every once in a while. And I've been doing that for like a couple of years now. I kind of started it in the pandemic, and that was like paying the bills for a while. And this is like a collaboration that's like a year or two old, and I didn't think much of it because these are like really small freelance gigs. Like a producer will hit me up and be like, "Hey, I got this gig. I need like a 16 bar verse, pay $300." Like very small payments. You do it, you get paid, and you move on, and you retain royalties. But it's producers that are still on the come up and building, so you don't know where the records are going to go. You're kind of just saying, all right, write my royalties down, and maybe on a rainy day something's going to come out of this record. And then last week I'm just hanging out at my girlfriend's place, and I get tagged on Instagram, request for a collaborative post, and I found out that the song got placed on a television series in France, and that's my first placement, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, it's pretty random how it kind of popped up. It's just one of my collaborations that I did for a client, not knowing where it would go, and it ended up landing a placement. So I can't complain.
Yeah. What was your first kind of reaction to it? Were you stoked? Well, I mean, were you?
It was really cool to like to see my my music and my vocals placed on like a legitimate like episode of television. That's pretty badass. That's pretty cool. I can't lie. So
Yeah.
it was like really cool to see that. And then after like the business side of me comes in mind, like, oh, maybe this will be the first of many more. I'm starting to think about other placements and stuff like that. So definitely a cool moment since it was a first.
I think it's a good testament too of just like keep doing your shit. Like I think the biggest thing,
Absolutely.
by far the biggest thing that I've ever played drums on, with like multi-million streams and stuff like that, I recorded in tiny ass studio in like an hour, and it just kind of I was like, here you go. And
That's
I
where the magic happens sometimes. It's it's
didn't think
in
about it.
it's in the most DIY setting, in the most unexpected moment, and then you kind of throw it to the side, and then X amount of time goes by, something comes out of it. I feel like so many of the good moments come from the moments where it's almost effortless, or you're not trying, you're not trying to actively pursue this big goal.
Yeah, and that's something I need to remind myself more of too, because it's either like, especially in the music world, like I watched the interview with Kendrick Lamar, and they're like, "How many songs do you think you have?" And he's like, 5,000 plus, and he's like, and that's growing every single day. He's like hard drives and hard drives full of songs. So and then he puts out an album like every what 4 or 5 years.
Exactly. So most of that music is he's just recording it because it's coming out of him. He's not saying this is going to be the song that's going to put us in the club. This It's just an artist making things, and you figure out all those details after when it comes to it.
Yeah, and then also you're if you're focusing so much on putting just like one thing out, um and then like you said, if it's not really effortless at that point, it's not like you're not just like kind of vibing and channeling like your artistic and vision. You're like kind of thinking like more like business. And this is just stuff I constantly have to remind myself of, because like I said, the most like you like what you just kind of validated that opinion is just like you put it out and it's
100%.
placement.
One thing that's wild is, I would say last year in 2022 and 2021, I was like really researching and studying marketing and strategies, and how to grow on all these different social media apps. And I got a little bit of success from following certain suggestions and strategies. But in terms of my best performing work, it's come to me when I just put it out there, when I just make something that I'm truly passionate about, something that I believe in, and I put it out there. I'll definitely promote it to the best of my ability, but I feel like any time that I've tried to really like take some strategy I've learned online and apply it like so hard, it doesn't really amount to much. For example, the short form kind of videos I've been putting out, the Mac Miller tribute, the one on X, and a few other videos, those naturally just took off. I made them because I'm a fan of Mac Miller. I love him as an artist. And when I made that video, I was like, oh, maybe some of my, people on my profile are gonna like it, friends and stuff. That video for me on Instagram has a 250,000 views now, and on TikTok it's got a 500,000, and that's like the first time I went that viral, and I didn't expect that with any fiber in my being, and I didn't put a strategy in place. I wasn't like, I gotta post it at this time with this hashtag. I just put it out there, and I went to sleep, and then the next day I went crazy. And then I have a video that I put out, the one that you mentioned, talking about the life of an independent artist and kind of going, music is a lifeline. That video peaked at like 20K. Didn't think anything of it, and then 2 nights ago it started going crazy on its way to 200K. And the engagement and interaction I got from that is more than some of the posts and songs and pieces of content where I tried to implement some strategy and to really try to like manipulate it to a marketing scheme. So sometimes the people are going to choose what they feel and what they want to share, and what they want to push forward, because you can market the shit out of something and it can still fall flat. And they always say, like, when you release an album, the people choose the single. So I'm a firm believer the people carry what they like from you, and you got to kind of just roll with that sometimes.
Yeah. I think like I said, I think your music is popping up and more, and like you got like back, you're on people's radar now. So it's clearly doing something in that sense, whether it be subconscious or not. And I think that's just generally like they're trying to the algorithms. It sounds so weird how well these algorithms and all that stuff know us. They like know when we're bullshitting. They know when we're just trying to game a system
100%.
for our own like validation or marketing or money or whatever. And they're kind of turning into God in some sort of way, or the idea of God or whatever. Just as a random thing, I really enjoyed one of the things you put out about like hockey. I think it's a little while ago because I don't know shit about hockey. I also don't know anything about Canada. I don't know anything of what the stuff that you kind of take for granted and stuff like that. It's just like you can put a lot more content out about that sort of stuff. Um, and people will enjoy it. So just as a I guess a helpful tip for you, because I think you could say the same thing for US citizens. Like, I don't know about certain shit. What is Audio Mac?
Audio Mac is it's a streaming platform that was created by, I don't know if you're familiar with the blog DJ Booth.
No, I'll check it out.
So DJ Booth was like it was one of the OG blogs back in the day that was posting a lot of art. It was like the place to go for music, amongst, like, I don't know if you're familiar with Dat Piff and all those kind of hip hop sites, but back when like blogs were the most poppin' thing, DJ Booth was one of the front runners of the blog era of hip hop. And they eventually transitioned into creating their own streaming platform, Audio Mac, which is, out of all the platforms, the Spotify's, Apple Music, Audio Mac's my favorite because it's very pro up and coming artists. They like to put a lot of new artists on their front page. It's not a popularity contest with them. It's not like, Spotify and Apple. You either have to have a label pitching you or be, a top 5% or 1% to be making some of these curated playlists. If you have good quality music, you're consistent, they like to seek out new talent and showcase that on their trending playlists and on their curated playlists. So I would say it's a streaming platform that's built for the independent artist. It's built for the up and comer. And they have like cool ways, like you can have like kind of like super followers that can donate to you directly, and you give them like different badges and stuff. So there's like cool incentives and different ways for people to support you that you kind of can't really achieve with other traditional platforms. So they kind of just took the streaming platform and kind of like 2.0'd it essentially. It's pretty cool.
They kind of make a game out of it.
Absolutely. And it's cool too because I hit one of their trending playlists on two of my songs, and I've yet to achieve that on a Spotify or an Apple, because like I said, Spotify and Apple, you have to have a bit more stake in the game when it comes to those playlists and how everything works over there. But Audio Mac definitely is early on talent for sure.
Yeah. Kind of going back, and I think when you were first mentioning this at the top of the episode about like kind of investors and stuff like that, I used to definitely have an opinion of like there are everybody has kind of a sugar daddy, sugar mama. Like yeah, you'd be surprised, you know. It's like he's probably fucking hate me if he heard me say this out loud, but the singer in my last band is like, why does this other person already have like hundreds of thousand views on or listens on his music? He's like a drummer, he just put something out. And then he found out later that he just like paid a shit ton of money for like Spotify placement and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Because I mean, the dude like basically owns a business, a pretty successful business. So he just did that. So then we eventually paid for that, and it worked out. But
Yeah, there's ways to grease yourself into the game. If the budget's there, you'd be surprised of the things you can do. It's a game where the doors open with the dollar signs, you know?
yeah, yeah, it's just
It's
it just is
that
what it
that's why I love to speak so much for the independent artist and the DIY artist, because putting together those big budgets are just not possible sometimes, you know what I mean? So you're already going against so many other outlets that already have their way in the door with money automatically. So you have to work 10 times harder to make that noise. But it's crazy because I think the artist Russ.
is. I'll
So
check it
he's
out.
a he's a rapper, singer, but he's one of the biggest advocates for being independent. He's built an independent empire, and he's made multi-millions from a TuneCore, from his own distribution. So his whole thing is like there's so many artists in the game now that will sign major deals, and the label will tell them, don't we won't announce that we've signed you so you can keep an independent aura, because independent has almost become a brand now. To say you're doing it on your own is a buzzword now. It's a cool thing. So there's so many major label artists who are like false claiming independence, because it gets their fans to get behind them more. You want to champion and lift them up, but realistically, they have a full deal with Universal or whatever mega corporation they're with. So it's crazy how major labels have found a way to try to take a piece of the independent game by just labeling their artists independent, because it helps the image in their opinion. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah. Like I can't remember the last time I heard about like an artist coming out and being like, yeah, we're on Sub Pop or something like
Yeah.
that. I mean, clearly Sub Pop still exists.
Yeah, but a lot of artists will not announce the deal because they're like they want to make it seem like they're still kind of grinding, doing it themselves. But realistically, you peel back the curtain, they got someone to give them budgets. They got the gears are in motion for them. So it's a weird game. It's the most uh enjoyable game to be in if you love making music and art, but it's also the most dishonest, greasiest game when it comes to the business side and every other aspect that's set aside from the creative part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking hilarious. I mean, it
It,
just makes so much sense when you say it out loud. And I don't want to say it's like everything's just against like a independent artist. Like you gotta put your legwork in, and there can be people that eventually. I mean, there's no artist that gets big without fans, and you have to make good stuff to have fans, even
Most
if
definitely.
they're the ones who are supplying the money in the back end. I mean, that's how it works. Like even in like a perfect scenario where everything was fair. Um, yeah. Um, okay. This is something. And what if there was a young artist, say they're like 16 years old, they're just about to release their first three songs. They don't have any social media, which is for a 16-year-old now is probably total bullshit. What would you if you had to start all the way back at the start, if you had nothing out there, What would you say is a good strategy for the first year if you could like kind of restart from that direction?
I would say singles only, because people's attention span is very short. So to just throw 5, 10, 15 songs at them at once, that's going to fall flat on its face. I would say singles until you have a community of supporters that truly are connected and tapped into with what you're doing. You need to be on the short form apps, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, IG Reels. That's where the engagement is. And in the beginning of TikTok, everyone's like, I'm not getting on that app. I'm not getting on a dance app and making stupid videos. Those apps have now evolved into many different niches and categories. There's room for everybody on those apps. They've got music to cooking to cinema to anything you want is on those apps. So it's not just about cringe content anymore, but it's important that you're on those apps, because right now TikTok alone is the biggest discovery platform where the algorithm can pick you up even if you have 2 followers. As long as the content is engaging and people are watching it, they'll push you out there. So I would say singles until you really find your tribe and your people that really support you. And you have to be as active as possible on the short form apps, because as much as you might not like it, that's where we're at right now. And it might change in 5 years from now, even next year. But you kind of have to submit a little bit to what's in and still make it, your own flavor. So short form content is king, and give people doses of you by singles, 2, 3 minute songs. And once you build, the more loyal following you build, you can start dropping albums. You can start hitting them with the long form stuff, because they're really going to want that from you. So singles, short form content, and just go crazy with it.
Yeah. What would you say about every week? What would you say that you do, or what would you wish you would do more of to for consistency wise, like every single week?
So I used to be all hyped on the like one song a week or bi-weekly, but realistically, I think like pumping out one song a month and then building like 30 days of content around that song is smart, because the song is the end goal of what you want people to consume and appreciate. But the short form content is what's going to blow it up and drive everybody there. So the more pieces of short form content you have around that song, you're putting more like foot soldiers into play to drive it to the end goal, which is to enjoy the music. So I would say if you can post 2 to 3 videos a day, do that, but you shouldn't overthink it to this point where you're like, I have to pump something out for the sake of having it out. If you can only produce one good video a day or a video every 2 days, do that, because the quality shouldn't, be compromised. So you just got to find this rhythm and schedule where you're comfortable with posting consistently, but not consistently enough to the point where you're going to start taking a hit on the quality because it's becoming overwhelming. So you gotta experiment and find that pocket and that fine line that works for you. For me, I burnt myself out last year by saying, okay, 3 videos a day, every single day. I'm gonna post morning, afternoon, evening on all platforms. Now, what's working for me even better is I post 1 video a day, 2 if I'm really on a roll and I have something else I want to put out there. But as long as I get 1 out a day or 1 every other day, and I know I'm focusing on the value and quality, I'm content with that.
Yeah. How frequently would you say stuff goes viral for you out of those times?
So, in terms of viral moments, I've only really experienced that in the last like year or so. My first viral moment that I had was with a song of mine called Jeannie Bouchard, which was a song named after a Canadian tennis player. And it went viral because she ended up finding it. Someone like sent it to her and she tweeted it out. And then after she tweeted it out, all of her fans started to retweet it. And then I got written up by a couple of like major publications from Canada, one being Yahoo Sports and the other one being Sport Bible. And that pretty much ran the streams up, but that fizzled out. and nothing really came of that afterwards. But that was like the first time where, the a big figure posted about me, and all I just got traffic like crazy. And other than that, my last viral moments were in the last month with the Mac Miller video, the X video, and then the video about being an independent artist, which, like I said, I put it out, hit 20K, it peaked. And then 2 nights ago, after a month of it being out, the algorithm said, hey, we'll turn this back on again and shovel it out. And now it's going to have about 200K. So viral moments, I don't know much about them, but they're pretty cool. But I don't invest in them too much, because I've realized that a lot of the times with viral moments, a certain percentage will follow and want to, join you on the journey, and be curious and interested in what you've got going on. But majority is going to be people that were there for that moment, and they're just passing through.
Yeah.
And that's why I had a video the other day that I put out where I actually appreciate the videos that do 200, 500 views, 1,000 views, because as long as people are still commenting and engaging, those low view videos are the videos where you're building the community. Those are like the people you're going to turn into your diehards, because the viral moments bring in people of all sorts. They're commenting crazy shit. They don't even know why they're there. They just saw this video and they're moving on from it. But the people that keep returning to those small view videos, those are the people that I still recognize pop up when I post new content. They're always there commenting. Those are the people who are like the day one community builders of what I'm, trying to create.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Uh just in general what you're saying. Not the whole thing. Uh what do you think? So this is kind of like, I think, a perfect time to talk about this, because you having things like start to really work out as far as virality, which, by the way, it doesn't mean shit to me. I just, if we're at a bar together talking about beer, I would want you to just show me your music, listen on the phone, and be like, dude, this is sick. But like how you go about stuff, I think it's why it's such a beautiful moment, because you're starting to actually, you're the tip of like seeing your work come into like everything, with your music, with your art, with your interests, with the people that you have around you. So I think it's hard to capture like this small frame, and if you keep it going and you keep the consistency there, it's going to absolutely keep on and moving in that direction. um what do you, I mean, anything and everything, what would be kind of like final words you'd have to say to anybody who is kind of in the rap game, especially in like Montreal, or anything that you think that like newer creators should just be doing? Just a short few sentences.
I would say create the art that you want to hear and see in the world, because trends, current styles, they're going to come and go. But art that comes from you genuinely is always going to remain. Nobody can take that from you. And you have to, walk with that for the rest of your life. You have to live with what you put out. So only put out shit that you're really invested in, stuff that really wakes you up, stuff you're really passionate about. Because if you're going to build a career in this, you're going to want to be proud of the work that you have to live with and perform and represent every day. So the stuff that you really want to hear and see in the world, make more of that.
Yeah. What sort of creators do you consume? What sort of inspires you to kind of like keep going musically, or just with the general like hustle of content putting out? What sort of creators kind of inspire you?
So in terms of music, uh, in terms of just good mindset and perspective, I talked about Russ.
Hmm.
Russ is an artist who has had his moment. He's very successful, and he peels that curtain back and shares, you know, uh, how to make good independent moves, and he gives a lot of free game and gems. So Russ is someone who I'm very tapped in with in terms of how to navigate as an independent artist. I've learned a lot from him, and I probably, as much as I love his music, I would say I consume more of his kind of advice content than his music these days. So Russ is definitely someone that's a go-to for me. And in terms of just this kind of new storytelling aspect that I've been diving into, I've been really falling in love with a lot of content that Anthony Bourdain left behind. A lot of his show, Parts Unknown, The Layover. Um, I love how he told a story. I love how he talked to people, how he interviewed people. Uh, you know, to pull off that kind of style within music and talking to artists, how I want to talk to. If I could even achieve 1% of his approach, that would be amazing. So I would
I
say,
literally just put out a video of his. I just like cut up one of his interviews.
yeah, he's got
It's a
so many
shit.
gems, and I only got I've always known about Anthony Bourdain, and I saw episodes of his shows here and there, but I only really got tapped into his stuff once he passed, and I watched the documentary they made about him, Roadrunner, and I saw that in the theater, and that was just how complex his life was, and just the way he thought and moved on a day to day basis. It inspiring stuff for sure. So in terms of storytellers, he's I love watching his stuff. There's a lot to learn from just the way he speaks to people and the way he kind of conducted his pieces and interviews. So I'd say, yeah, Anthony Bourdain, Russ, and honestly, I like just scrolling on TikTok and seeing other people's perspectives, because there's a lot of small creators and artists out there that have maybe not the biggest followings, but they have really great things to say. And that's a cool thing about TikTok being a discovery platform. There's people you never would have known about, but this app has come along that will push a small creator in front of millions, and you can learn some cool stuff. So I have a few go-to staple people that I like to draw inspiration from, but I also like to just learn and get put on to new perspectives and opinions. And I'm the type of person that I don't care if the person has 10 followers or 10 million. If they say something that strikes a chord with me, I'll definitely take pieces of that advice and show love and support.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, it's pretty damn cool. Like kind of going, if you haven't read Kitchen Confidential yet or on audiobook, like Anthony Bourdain's book, his life is just even.
I gotta take that in for sure. I definitely gotta check that one out.
I mean, that's the book that got him famous, and kind of like going off of what you were saying earlier, he made that book for like his kitchen homies, the guys that worked in kitchens. He's like talking about doing blow and like
Yeah,
yeah,
he
fucking
gave the real and rugged of his industry, and he made it from the most pure place, because it wasn't like, okay, you have to make a book, we got to pitch it. He couldn't give a fuck less if 5 people read it at the end of the day, because that's how it probably initially was an intent it was intended. And then what it did from there was, obviously, it built him a career. But when something is so purely made, when it reaches the masses, it's even cooler to see, because it was made for such small consumption in mind, but had that opportunity to go huge.
you almost make me want to do like an experiment. I think this might be kind of cool for anybody who's sort of listening because a lot of this mindset and why I've been almost like grilling you on like what do you do, like how does this happen, what have you been doing, like what do you think you should do more of. I think it'd be kind of cool just like for whatever sort of art thing you create, or if you're gonna make a song or something like that, make it for like one or two people.
Yep.
I think that'd be a good little. I think I'm gonna try doing that just for shits and giggles. I'm not expecting it to get anywhere, but just as like a practice, and at least just trying to do that once in like the next week, and just be like try to make somebody laugh, even with just like an inside joke that you only know with that person.
It's important to do that. Most of Any time that I've made a song, I most of the time I have my 2 to 3 go-to homies in mind that I'm always riding around in the car with. And if it passes the vibe check with them when we're riding around in the car, then that's the only green light I need to put that song out. It was made to roll around with my friends, and if we love it, then it's a success already, and we're dropping that song. So make stuff for you and a few people around you, and let the world in on your inside joke, your inside flavor, and
Yeah.
don't think about the mass consumption of anything. I think that's a very important way to approach art and the way you create.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of wants to go viral before anything, and then it's like almost it would be shitty to kind of go viral before you actually feel like you deserve it, because then you're just trying to feed a machine. Then you're like more of a machine than anything else.
That's the downside to these apps now, because TikTok, there's so many success stories. There's literally musicians making TikTok songs, short intros, more kind of bubblegum kind of hooks. Like that's the only thing that sucks about algorithms is a lot of artists start to tailor their art for the algorithm, and that's when you lose a lot of the authentic energy to it and the pureness. Even on Spotify, there's tips and guides of like short intros, jump right into it. Like I like an intro on my music. You know what I mean? I don't want to create because an algorithm's like, we'll push it if you make it this way, because
Yeah,
you're already compromising just for a specific platform. And I think as much as has helped a lot of people, and it's helped me too, so I can't complain, it also can water your stuff down if you're not careful.
yeah. And I think some people in general who've got big on TikTok, and maybe even for the most part, they're kind of like well, it's gonna sound derogatory. They're kind of neurotic anyway. Like
Yeah.
they would be filming themselves doing this stuff and like sending it to their friends anyway, whether or not like social media apps existed. So that's, I mean, that works for music and art and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Before, speaking of Anthony Bourdain, he talked to a bunch of artists and creators and politicians and stuff like that. Kind of something he likes to talk about, and something that I find interesting, is the place that you live. And you kind of mentioned earlier in the podcast, you said there's kind of a political French English divide in Montreal, and maybe that's why things aren't moving in a certain way. I have no idea about that. Can you maybe elaborate without maybe getting super political if it's possible?
So pretty much the way the politics works in Quebec, which is the province that I live in, and Montreal is my city. And by the way, I'm not born and raised here, so I'm like very much an outsider while being here. I'm born and raised in Toronto.
Okay.
I live in Montreal because what we talked about earlier, a very easy city to get by in terms of rent, and I had family out here and uh, a lot of collaborators. But it's the political side is they feel like French is kind of the language is fleeting, and they want to protect it. And it's a bilingual province, but they feel like at times English kind of, maybe took a little bit too much a hit on the French culture. And essentially they just don't want their language to kind of get buried, and they still want it to be the leading language of the province. But when you have those debates and arguments, it causes a lot of tension because you're starting to divide and cause sides. And there's it's a very real thing here. There's a lot of French people here that want to be like separate. They want to be their own functioning country. And there's moments where it kind of got close to discussing that. And there's a lot of separatists here. It's pretty fucked up. But and that's why I think a lot of the art scene has been held back, why a lot of English artists haven't really skyrocketed out of here yet, because there's a lot of hurdles and barriers to kind of overcome, because there's a lot of tension with the language and what's what and how you go about things. But I do my best to not dive into that. I'm like the least political person there is with all politics, even my own local politics. But it just sucks because when you have like political flares like that, it takes a hit on everything around you. And artists and creators, they feel that too.
Yeah. I mean, that goes with every sort of politics thing throughout the world.
There's
uh,
a it's always
Everybody
going
just
to
holds
cause a
themselves.
divide no matter what.
Yeah, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
Um, well, I guess for the rest of the show, I kind of just like, I guess the final question I always like to ask people is like, what is your idea of success for yourself, for others, and what's your philosophy on it?
My idea of success is being able to have full freedom through your art, meaning you can pay your rent, he could pay your bills, and you don't have to walk through your life uh looking at your budgets in your wallet all the time. You're able to work remotely. You're able to fully wake up and go to sleep being supported by your craft without having to struggle and, always come up with ends meet. Everyone's going to have a different view on that. For some people, it's arenas or bust. Some people, they would love to just travel the country nationally and play 200 seaters. For me, I'm more of a simplistic type of person. I don't need the arena and the stadium. I'll always shoot as high as I can go, but as long as I don't have to worry about my finances and the people around me are good, I'm successful. Even if that means I make a living from having 1,000 to 2,000 diehard supporters, I made it.
Yeah. And there you go. What can people expect from you? Where can they follow you? How can they support you?
So all of my socials, if people want to stay up to date with me, is Life of Yonge, which is Life of Yonge. And this year is focused on a lot of single drops. Near the end of the last year, I didn't drop much music, so there'll be a lot more music from me this year. There's going to be a lot of this video content that I've been dropping. There's a lot of different artists and creatives and figures that I want to make pieces on and bring to people. So a lot of music, a lot of short form content, and if all goes well, by summertime I'll be dipping my toe in the water of the podcast game. So I look forward to that too.
Yeah, I'll help out as much as I can with that. Any final thoughts you got for anybody?
I would go back to what I said before in terms of advice. When it comes to making your mark in the game and being an artist, make what you want to hear and see in the world. That's it.
Absolutely. All right, Matt. Well, this has been super fun. You stay on the line. I'm gonna just quit the recording, but yeah, this has been the Zen Prairie Project. I interview artists and creators and get what they have to say out to the world and how they can help. And I try to build a community of people, whether they want to work together or they just want to listen to somebody else and get inspired. So this has been really inspiring, and I hope everybody who listens gets a little something out of it. So
I appreciate you for having me, man. I appreciate it for real.
I'm glad it finally came to fruition. I've wanted you on the show for a while. Anyway, thanks everybody.
I need a baddie like Teeny, yeah, real good with the laywork, yeah, or she a baddie like Teeny, yeah, bossed up with a network, yeah, I need a baddie like Teeny, yeah, real good with the laywork, yeah, or she a baddie like Teeny, yeah, bossed up with a network, yeah, look, okay, forehand, backhand, she rough with it, big talk, big game, she tough with it, fuck critics, watch me, go and get it if it's real, well if it's raw then I probably said it, double up, put your money where your mouth is, I want a good life, a couple big houses, big bank, stress free with the bad one, in the hills, good view, yup I take that one. Rolling in my city since I've been home. Man, it's been a hard minute since I've been broke. Yeah, I'm living out my dream from the hard work. Oh, you mad I'm doing me while your heart hurt? Oh my, glowed up big league, the time flight. If it don't serve me a purpose, it's bye-bye. Been trying to crack that code like locked Wi-Fi. If you know you can't be me, baby, then why you like Teeny? Yeah, real good with the laywork. Yeah, or she a baddie like Teeny. Yeah, bossed up with a network. Yeah, I need a baddie like Teeny. Yeah, real good with the laywork. Yeah, or she a baddie like Teeny. Yeah, bossed up with a network. Yeah, look, hey, no you didn't believe, now it's handshakes every time they seeing me. She a freak in the sheets but shy on the surface, priceless, man she more than worth it. From the city with the women or the flyers, curving all the bullshit, leaving them all in silence. If she want a good night, I can supply it. If she going public with it, that's a riot. Goddamn, I'm up next in my fucking city. Actually, I'm right now, no one fucking with me. Y'all play little games, y'all so Disney. And if you coming with that bullshit, please miss me. I remember when they talk shit, when they hated. Now my songs coming on and they all replay it. Came a long way from my best friend's basement. Now I'm with the team, seeing how far we can take it. I need a baddie like Teeny, yeah. Real good with the laywork, yeah. Or she a baddie like Teeny, yeah. Bossed up with a network, yeah. I need a baddie like Teeny, yeah. Real good with the laywork, yeah. Or she a baddie like Teeny, yeah. Bossed up with a network.
Yonge on the beat.
Is it a banger?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, if you wanna get away, let's run and leave it all behind, If you decide you wanna stay, we could settle in and forget about time, yeah. If you wanna get away, let's run and leave it all behind, If you decide you wanna stay, we could settle in and forget about time, yeah. Knocking down a couple shots, tell me how you love to feel, rolling up a getaway, you wanna escape what's real, yeah. Fucking to the sound of rain, we don't need no music playing, nah. You don't need to think about the past. We got histories, but we're never going back. If you wanna get away, let's run and leave it all behind, If you decide you wanna stay, we could settle in and forget about time, yeah. If you wanna get away, let's run and leave it all behind, If you decide you wanna stay, we could settle in and forget about time, yeah. Perfect potion in my body, why I feel so good to be so gone. Was chasing you when it should have been us all along. But now I'm saying goodbye to my past and what it was, but it was good that it died. Yeah, smoking till the sun come up. I got my new girl thunderstruck, trying to stay committed, but I'm fucking up. I got so much life to live, not thinking about a wife and kids, thinking about some land out in Calabasas. The biggest cribs, all my stress down low, nothing on my mind but a bunch of M's, good smoke, a couple dimes. I just love minding my business, well you should try. And anytime I need a vent, I tell it to the mic. And every time you talking shit, it's minutes off your life. She only really call me when she need a pipe. And if I'm being honest, that's the shit I like. Okay, fucking right. If you wanna get away, let's run and leave it all behind, If you decide you wanna stay, we could settle in and forget about time, yeah. If you wanna get away, let's run and leave it all behind, If you decide you wanna stay, we could settle in and forget about time. If you wanna get away, let's run and leave it all behind. If you decide you wanna stay, we could settle in and forget about time, yeah. If you wanna get away, let's run and leave it all behind. If you decide you wanna stay, we could settle in and forget about time. Yeah, everybody on my shit, everybody on my dick. Everybody wanna come through for benefits, now fuck the shit. They just keep on flapping lips, I block them out like goodbye. They want reactions, they don't get them, all I say is good try. I think I'm about to go harder than Lindsay Lohan at a party in the hills when that party's snowing. I haven't been selected yet, but I know that I'm chosen. I made a map of all the places in the world I'm going. I know some people thinking local, I just dream of coasting. I'm in the clouds, I know I'm it because the kid been floating. I cook a record, then I serve it up, no US Open. White boy, smooth as it gets, him your girl's favorite lotion. I can't go to sleep anymore without thinking about it. Will he not make it? Ooh, bitch, well I highly doubt it. I moved on to that next level, I'm highly scouted. I'd rather fill my bag, get moneyed up than highly clouded. The way I approach everything in my life is passion. Matt Young might change my name to make it happen. They only stick around for seconds like they're Ben Askren. Mosby Dog, 3-piece with the soda with the action. I pull strings, I make moves, no Eric Clapton. I had some peers who said they're staying here, well what happened? Junkyard whips, a bunch of plans came crashing. Shiloh got the frame, I'm waiting till he calls action. I'm shooting my shot just like a DM slide. No Marco Farrell, we don't bump them other guys. I wear my jersey proudly, I'm not switching sides. Give me my flowers right now when I'm still alive. It's time to give me my flowers. It's time to give me my flowers. I need about 1,000 every hour. I see all you bitches getting sour. Well, this is top 1, top 2, top 3 phenomenal rapping. It seems every time I move the pen, I get to snapping. I'm like, ooh, it happened. The bodies get to dropping. I paid my dues for a decade. Don't tell me I'm not popping. My work ethic locked in. I've always had that vision. Even when I slept in the kitchen, I had them dreams of winning. Only playoff mode in me, there's no exhibition. Follow my gut and my intuition's my definition. My boy Ryan told me chill, never trust a pigeon. He on his Ari Gold business like Jeremy Piven. At the blackjack table, spazzing in casinos. And we're about to cash out, then we're dipping to Reno. I'm shooting my shot just like a DM slide. No Marco Farrell, we don't bump them other guys. I wear my jersey proudly, I'm not switching sides. Give me my flowers right now when I'm still alive. It's time to give me my flowers. It's time to give me my flowers. I need about 1,000 every hour. I see all you bitches getting sour.